I think it's fair to say what's emerging is something like a new Cold War. I don't want to compare this with the old Cold War. There'll be very many differences. But what's comparable about it is the extent of the hostile relations between the United States and Russia.
Item 127, missile suspension released.
It's gone through quite a dramatic evolution in the last decade. It was a little over a decade ago that Schultz and Kissinger and Nunn and I put out our Wall Street Journal op-ed. But at that time, we could really believe they were ready to start dramatically bringing down the nuclear weapons in the world, actually heading to a time we could start envision getting down close to zero. But that was a function of the global dynamics at that time. And in those days, we had good relations with Russia. Today, it is very different. And I think the big forcing factor is the increasing hostility between the United States and Russia. That started, you can date it from about the time when President Putin was reelected. But actually, the seeds for those problems were planted much earlier than that. They were planted when the United States decided to expand NATO against the objections of Russia. They were planted when we decided to deploy an ABM system in Eastern Europe. Russia was very much opposed to those and argued against them, but those two events didn't seem to push them over the brink. After Vladimir Putin was reelected as president, you may remember there were substantial demonstrations, and they were basically protesting what they considered a fraudulent election and basically threatening to overthrow Putin. Well, he survived that and got through it very well, but he seemed to believe that the United States was behind those demonstrations. That is, that we were seeking actively to overthrow him. And to the extent he believed that obviously is something which gave him a very bad feeling about the United States. And I think that was the final event, which in his mind made him conclude he was given up trying to work with the United States and would now seek to actively oppose it. When Khrushchev pushed the boundaries of his envelope, engaged in risk-taking in Cuba, he did it not planning a war, not even imagining there's going to be a war, but he thought it was worth taking that risk, and he took it. And he got caught, and Kennedy stood up strongly against him, and in that position, the two leaders were taking risks of a military conflict. And we now know that had there been a military conflict, it probably very likely would have escalated to nuclear. This kind of risk-taking that President Putin's involved in today could in fact lead to a military conflict, which could be very, very dangerous for both countries. He's been actively doing things which he knew would antagonize the United States and the West, maybe even doing them deliberately because of that. And he has made a major push towards building up his military with a special emphasis on rebuilding his nuclear arsenal. He's not only rebuilding the nuclear arsenal, but he is flaunting it, bragging about what he's doing, and he's threatening with it, directly threatening his European neighbors with his installation of nuclear missiles in Kaliningrad, and indirectly threatening the United States with various comments about how his nuclear arsenal could, as they say, incinerate the United States. It starts off with the generation of leaders today in general do not understand just how dangerous these nuclear weapons are. They tend to think of them as bigger bombs, I think, and they don't understand that this is a different category of destruction altogether, and that what's at stake here is the future of civilization. And that doesn't seem to be in people's mind today. And that's a problem you, millennials, are going to have to deal with. And to deal with them properly, you had better understand just how dangerous they were then and could become again.